Since the beginning of time, many have asked themselves,
does size matter? No.
Well, I've been pondering that question myself here recently, so me and my friends set out to the place where all photographers go to solve their identity issues.
On the south side of Chicago.
So let's start at the basics. If you don't know what these cameras are and what they do, this is the Pentax 6x7. This is a medium format film camera. It shoots 120 or 220 film and it produces a 6cm by 7cm negative. And then this over here is a large format camera. It shoots sheet film, so it's going to produce a 4" by 5" negative because it's a 4x5 camera. So this produces a singular negative, a singular photo, and we'll get into that more in a second. But why on earth would we ever compare these? Well, that has to do with the question I asked you at the beginning of this video. Does size actually matter? Of course, one of the first things you're going to want to do, including myself, is just zoom in on these large format images and look at that large format resolution. Now, of course, this is one of the main draws of large format, is being able to get all that insane detail that comes with shooting such a large negative. But we are comparing it to 6x7, so in my opinion, I don't think we'll see that big of a difference, but I think we'll be able to tell for sure. So if we look at the trees here, this is 4x5 shot in Yosemite. We're definitely being able to get a lot of detail in these trees. And then if we look at the 6x7 image, they definitely get a little bit more muddy and definitely not as sharp here in the trees and maybe even up here in the ridge line. We're definitely not getting that same sharpness. So yeah, definitely even here in the tree fallen in the foreground, I really feel like it's definitely sharper. It's definitely probably not as noticeable on YouTube because YouTube compresses everything, but we're definitely able to tell a bit, I do believe. Now for our second set of images, what I want to point out here is what most people would call that large format depth and what they mean by that. So if we look at the bottom of this image here, we have this kind of like swirly out of focus foreground, and we have this kind of nice gradient between what's out of focus and what's in focus. But if we look at the 6x7 image here, we're kind of still getting that here at the bottom, but in my opinion, and I don't know if you're going to be able to tell or not from your end, but the fall off or the gradient isn't as drawn out. It's a little bit more drastic and definitely not as apparent. We kind of have more things in focus sooner in the image than the 4x5, if that makes sense. Now, the reason for this, from what I can understand, is the focal lengths used. Take my Pentax 6.7 here, for example. I have a 105mm lens on the front of it here, but when I'm shooting with this camera, it gives me the field of view of roughly a 50mm. Now, if I were to put this lens on a full frame or 35mm camera, I would be getting a true 105mm focal length in field of view. But I would also be getting 105mm compression. Now, when you go up in focal length, obviously you get more compression in your image. Now, just because the field of view changes doesn't mean that the compression does. So when I'm shooting on my 4x5 camera, I own a 150mm lens, which is also close to an equivalent of a 50mm field of view. I'm still getting that 150mm compression that I would get on a full frame 35mm camera. So just because the field of view changes doesn't mean that the compression does. So that's what you're seeing here in this image, is that 150 millimeter compression. Now, this is what I was told. This is how it's always been explained to me. It makes the most sense to me. If I'm wrong, I'm more than willing to be wrong, but that's how it's always been explained to me. So that's how I'm explaining it to you guys. So if we're looking at just resolution and depth, the 4x5 is the obvious winner, right? Well, sure, but there's so much more to it, really. For starters, this camera is really annoying to bring around anywhere. If you're not going out to specifically shoot large format, if you're just going out on a hike and you want to bring a large format camera along with your other cameras, then it's going to be incredibly annoying because you have to usually have a separate bag for this. You have to bring a tripod, shutter release cable, you got to have all of your film holders if you're going to shoot any amount of volume. It's just really cumbersome to bring along anywhere if you're not specifically shooting large format. Not to mention you're getting less pictures at a higher cost, which is also very annoying. But speaking of cost, how much is all this going to set you back? A box of Portra 400 and 4x5 is going to set you back around 70 USD, and a box of Portra 400 and 120 is going to set you back around 65 USD. And if you're shooting 6x7 like me, you're getting 10 images per roll. So you're looking at about $1.30 for medium format per image, and you're looking at $7 per image for 4x5. And that doesn't include the cost of developing and scanning, of course. So after hearing that, you're probably asking yourself, why on earth would I want to shoot large format, especially if I don't care about resolution and depth? Well, that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about the annoyances of this camera. See, some people really love those annoyances, including myself. 4x5 is really growing on me because of how handheld and tactile the experience can be making a 4x5 image. If I pick up my Pentax, I can take it anywhere, shoot it anywhere, throw it in any backpack, and have zero issues shooting it. I get 10 images per roll, so I can get a bunch of photos wherever I take it. Versus with the 4x5, it takes everything that I love about film photography and really elevates it in terms of experience. Why I picked up film photography at all was because I love the hands-on process that it makes you go through in order to make an image. It's not with digital, where it really feels like at times when I shot digital, it really felt like the camera was making the image, not me. It's just such a slower, methodical process that I've just come to enjoy so much. So, does size really matter? Well, if you need the extra resolution, or if you just want that experience, that process that large format brings, then large format might be for you. But if you're like me most of the times, and most other people, medium format just makes more sense. It's more economical, you get more images, it's easier to carry around, easier to transport, not as expensive is one of the big things right now. It just makes more sense for most people. It's a more familiar setting if you're coming from digital or 35mm or anything like that. So I guess size is just a societal hangup that causes stress and unneeded self-confidence issues, when really you can just be enjoying the sizes that you like and enjoy and be confident in that. We're talking about film formats here, by the way. As always, thank you so much for watching. I cannot thank you enough for popping over to my corner of the internet to watch my videos. It's so appreciated. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you shoot 4x5 or if you prefer to shoot 120, 35mm, all those things. Let's just talk down there. I've missed you guys. It's been a while since I posted a video. So until next time, I will see you later.